Hello everybody, it's Jabbar here, and as some of you may already be aware of, the Team from Nothing was invited by Democrats Abroad caucus to a 12-hour long Black History Marathon. There are speakers there from all parts of the world, all walks of life, all different purposes, from politics, from post-slavery, from pre-slavery, from Africa, all kinds of different eras and topics, all in this great pool of Black history discussion, not just the general academia stuff we learn in grade school. So anyway, with that being said, myself and Trenton, which most of you from the Discord community probably know as Red Walsile, we were both there and present, and it was an honor and a pleasure to be there. And it was a 30-minute segment originally. I will give you a link to the full marathon below, but for the sake of time, I just included our segment here, and I also cut that for time as well. So without further ado, we're going to go ahead and play the video. Hope you enjoy.
Okay, great. All right, so we have our next segment. It's the top of the hour, and our next segment is with Jabari Walker and Trenton Zylstra,
Zylstra?
Zylstra, from the YouTube channel From Nothing. If you want to turn on your video, let me introduce you. Jabari Walker is the founder of From Nothing. Throughout his life, he has always been interested in history. However, as he grew older, he began to realize all the greatest achievements of his ancestors rested exclusively in the pool of success against white oppression. From the books he read in school to the shows he saw on TV, this narrative was repeated time and time again. Aside from that, all he had to go off of were primarily negative modern events going on in Africa. As he began to do more research, he began to realize there was much more to Black history than that. The problem wasn't that the history didn't exist. It was the fact that it wasn't represented in education or mainstream media. There are no movies, TV shows, video games, or high school classes that cover African history. He decided from this point forward he would create historical content for the Black diaspora as well as the other history buffs, exclusively covering much of the neglected topics of African history. And his dream is to be a full-time creator of content that facilitates that goal. Trenton Zylstra is a graduate student from in history, originally from Michigan. His thesis research is looking at the history and development of indigenous boats in the Gambia. Since mid 2018, he's been involved with the From Nothing YouTube channel, helping make videos on African history, mostly helping with research. He believes that sharing these histories is important, especially as African histories are unknown to most people. Welcome. I'm so happy to have you here.
Thank you. Appreciate it. We it's a pleasure to be here. So
Yes. I for the people who don't know, I explained it to Jabari and Trenton. Okay, people don't know this. I love YouTube. I'm like almost addicted to it. Like I would rather watch YouTube than Netflix.
same here.
Um, and I one day a video popped in my feed and it was from their YouTube channel. And I was like, oh my God, what is this? And it was, I can't even remember which one it was, but it was so great. The moment I saw it and I looked at a few more videos, I was like, oh my gosh, we have to have these guys on our Black History Marathon because I think you're doing a really important service for the world, really. I think that there's not enough information on non-European history in the world, um, and it's very important that we share this. So, what kind of response have you received from viewers about your show?
Honestly, for the most part, it's exactly what you described. People are very grateful. They see it and they react in a similar manner. There's not enough of this. I'm so glad I found this channel. It's crazy how hard it is to find content like this, and you're doing a great service to this basically empty negative space in the historical community. That's what I get the majority of the time, but obviously there's also ones who have their own agendas, usually racial, on both sides, white or black, where they think I'm doing a disservice to their people or I'm lying or overly embellishing things when in reality everything is thoroughly researched. I'm teaching facts, good, bad, ugly, regardless of what color the person was who said it or did it. I'm just presenting actual facts, and more than the usual negative narrative that we're constantly having shoved in our faces every day. So that's the response I get for the most part, just overwhelmingly positive.
Yeah, that is. I hope so because it's a great channel. Trenton, you said you're mostly doing research.
Yep.
What got you started on doing research about Africa?
Oh, it was several years ago. I was just a college student interested in, games and stuff. So I was playing around with those, doing research, and I kind of like stumbled on African history because it was an area that wasn't well known, and I just kept researching more, and eventually I liked it so much I changed from wanting to do work in like the normal European Mediterranean history to study African history because there's just so much interesting I found there.
Yes. All right. So you guys sent me a video that we're gonna watch, and then we'll come back and then we'll talk a little bit more. Let me
Yep.
just.
Yeah, probably have to skip a little bit ahead to get rid of the
Yeah.
ads.
Yeah, I already have it queued up to the right place.
Good.
So I just have to get through all the thousands of windows that I have open at this point on my
That sounds like my
desktop.
computer every day. So
Yeah, it's me too. So here we go. We're going to watch. The video is called "Why is Africa a Place of Tribes and Chiefs Instead of Kingdoms and Kings?"
Yep. Video about terminology. It was voted on and by far the most popular to share.
So let's talk about the glorious Yoruba tribe. Numbering some 40 million, they are among Nigeria's three largest ethnic groups, along with the Hausa tribe and the Igbo tribe. They are an industrious people with a rich and extensive history that extends over 1,000 years. They have a complex system of mathematics based on 20 rather than the decimal-based system that we use today in the West. Even their religious divination system is based on binary code, the same type of code that we use in today's smartphones, computers, and all types of other gadgets. They existed in a region that is believed to be among the earliest producers of iron and bronze technology in all of Africa, and they used this same technology to create metal casts of some of the most realistic artistic depictions of human faces in the history of the entire world. With all that being said, why do we refer to the Yoruba as a tribe?
Wow, it's a great video. Yeah, that's a great video. For the person just joining, we are watching a video from the YouTube channel From Nothing. I'll put the link in the chat in just a second. Wow. That was really, really great. I could watch your videos over and over again. Here we go. So how long does it take you to make an episode like this that's 18 minutes?
Um, this particular video actually was supposed to be one of my quicker projects, but it ended up. It's always hard to tell how long it's going to take to make a video. This was supposed to be like a quick project in between a bigger project, but it ended up becoming a bigger project in itself. So, but this one in particular probably took me about 2 weeks.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, that's some amount of time, yes, to do all the work and research to get a video ready. So I have some questions from people in our steering committee. So I'll just start with, can you talk about the university in Timbuktu? Is that something you're familiar with?
Yes. It's actually called the Sankore University. It started off as just a small Islamic madrasa It's actually one of the oldest in the world. Actually, the only one older is the one found in Morocco. But it rose to prominence as an educational center of the Islamic world in the 14th century. It was built. It reached that reputation from Mansa Musa. Uh, Famously, I'm not sure if everybody knows about him, but he was probably the most famous king of the Mali Empire and possibly one of the most famous kings in world history. And he built it up as a university, a center for Muslims. Tens of thousands of Islamic students from all parts of the Islamic world, not just Africa, would attend that university. And to this day, there are actually hundreds of thousands of books that exist there. They just have yet to be properly preserved or digitized. And it's something that we could actually learn a lot from West African history from if that does happen.
Okay, great. There's a question that someone had. What is the influence of African languages on American English? Did it affect the Southern accent, British, and Caribbean English?
Uh, yeah, there are a few small things. It's obviously not as influential as in American English. Sorry, American English isn't obviously as influenced from Caribbean as American English, because Caribbean you can just hear the accent, you can hear the similarities right away. But when it comes to the American accent, there are a few subtle things, such as, for example, the use of double negatives. I'm sure you can hear in African American vernacular. There's a lot of use of double negatives, like "I ain't never seen that," for example. That's something that's considered, that's a proper way of speaking in a lot of West African languages, is the use of double negatives. And then also there are certain words that in African American vernacular, for example, that, saying words like saying like that and there and of that and there, that's also taken from West African accents as well, because a lot of their words will do that. If you hear a modern Nigerian speak, for example, they do the same thing. They don't tend to pronounce the th. And then certain words in our language actually as well, like yam, for example, that comes from the Fulani language of West Africa. They call it the if I remember correctly, the nyami. So, and we call it the yam. It's derived from that language. There's a few others as well. Even common slang words like cool, like that's cool or that's chill, that comes from the use of cool or chill associating with something as calm or good comes from West African languages.
Interesting. That is very, very interesting. So we don't have so much time left. Um, my question is, why do you think African and non-European history doesn't get as much attention as in the West?
I think it's because if we like, let's just face it, we live in a very colonized world. Even though these imperial colonies have fallen years ago, we still think like Europeans. Everything good and great in this world is European based. And because of that, we place more importance and emphasis on European history, which is not the best way to go, in my opinion, but it's just the sad reality of what we live in. And we also just have this deeply ingrained, centuries old, injected mentality on our people, like as African people, that everything there is below Europe. And even if it's not an intentional, systematic thing anymore, it's a cultural thing. It's something we've been born, black or white, we're born and raised feeling and seeing and experiencing. So I feel like people subconsciously feel like it's more important to teach about European history. Even people who are proudly black, you'll see them wearing like European crowns and stuff like that, cosplaying European kings rather than African kings.
Yes. Yes, that is true. Thank you guys both so much for coming on and sharing your work with us. I think everyone enjoyed this, watching the video and discussing this topic with you. I have one more question, and it's totally like random, but I Googled your name. Were you a basketball player?
No,
No,
you might
okay.
have seen Jabari Parker.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
No problem. That was very random. Sorry.
It's okay.
All right. We are at the half hour, and I don't know. I'm looking for Jim.